Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the Asshole podcast. I'm Danny Vega, joined today by a lovely couple, two good friends of mine, Lucas Connolly and Jenni Walkowiak. Lucas, tell the people who you are.
Hi, I'm Lucas Connolly. I am a New York City-based comedian and comedy producer. I'm very excited to be here.
You sound like it, Lucas. Acting isn't one of your specialties. Lucas and I have done a lot of things.
Well, I'm a director and a producer. And
don't lie, Lucas.
I direct.
I'm really mean to Lucas. Lucas and I have done some videos together. I'll throw a link to the dog video. They're gonna love the dog video.
It's the best one.
And this is your girlfriend of how many years? Who has her own identity? I'm just bringing you in as
I appreciate that. Thank you.
How many years have you guys been together?
3+.
And your name is Jenni Walkowiak.
Yeah.
Successful in your own right.
Hi, I'm Jenni. I'm a photographer here in New York. I also part-time work at a coffee shop, and I produce a comedy show with Lucas. I'm actually excited to be here because I have opinions.
Lucas, you're only here because I wanted Jenni to be on the show, and I felt weird not inviting one of my best friends to come along. But Jenni is here because she's an expert. She's been a barista for many years, and we might even get into some photography faux pas. I'm excited about that. We got one heck of a show for you today. Our second story of the day, AITA for asking out the cute barista I see every morning after I found out her age. But first... AITA for clarifying that an iced coffee is cold by you/floodums. The family and I stopped at Dunkies for some morning beverages. When placing her order, my wife asked for an iced latte. The person taking our order then asked if she wanted that hot or cold. I interrupted the exchange to say, an iced latte is cold. I immediately got the death stare from my wife, and I'm sure the employee saw it, and I didn't say anything else. Afterward, my wife yelled at me for being so rude. I defended my case by saying her job was to take your order. When someone orders an iced drink, it isn't necessary to immediately ask if they want it hot or cold, so she must not have been paying attention. I also reminded her that I am a smartass by nature, and I didn't really mean anything by it. To support her side, you could see a downshift in the employee's upbeat attitude afterward. I think I could have diffused the situation at the time, but my wife reacted so quickly that I didn't have a chance to follow up with the, I'm just messing with ya. And I think she certainly did deserve to be messed with. But I wasn't trying to ruin her morning, so look, am I the asshole?
The first thing I want to say is this guy already sucks. Afterward, my wife yelled at me for being so rude. Using language like yelled, I highly doubt that his wife raised her voice and yelled at him for being rude. He's just being sensitive because he was being a dick and she called him out on it.
I think you are onto something that I see so much. I've caught myself doing it. When people are being admonished, they're being told that what they did is wrong. They almost always characterize what the other person is doing as yelling, and it almost
never
is.
Yelling.
Yeah, I don't even think it would play if the wife was yelling at him, right? Like, that was so rude. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's not what happened.
That's not what happened. I'd like to talk for a second about what it's like to work in a coffee shop. I've worked in several. I've worked in chains that are really popular. I've worked in little small shops where I'm the only employee on staff at any given time. I've been doing this a long time. I'm good at my job. I do latte art. I'm clean. I'm efficient. I'm fast. You know, that's like most of the common compliments I get. But when people order stuff from me, sometimes they mumble or it's loud. There's the dishwasher running. There's music playing. There's other people talking. There's dishes clanging. So somebody could say they want an iced latte and I could just hear the latte part and I will ask again. That's part of what the barista's job is to make sure you get the order right in the first place. Sometimes I'll have to ask multiple times. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I know you just told me, but I need you to tell me again. The barista knows that an iced latte is cold. Everybody knows that ice is cold. Tell me one person that doesn't think ice is cold. No one. All right. So that guy knew he was being an asshole.
As a comedian, sometimes there's an amazing ability where you're like, there's a joke, I could swing, and you just jump on it because, you know, if you don't, you're losing that one moment where it's going to be gone forever.
I agree. Sometimes you swing. Sometimes you miss. This was a miss. Own the miss.
Yes.
You don't get to throw your hands up in the air and be like, oh, I didn't mean it. Well, you said it and it hurt someone. It had an effect. So that's it. You're responsible. Out to Dry CLT writes, absolutely. If this poor woman was stressed or overtired, it's possible the admittedly stupid stupid question popped out of her mouth as a reflex. Give your service industry folks a break. So could that be a thing, Jenny? This girl just automatically is just like, latte hot or cold, latte hot or cold, latte hot or cold. You know, it's gotten into her memory where she just does it.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, also, I think people forget that service industry people are people and that things happen in people's lives. It takes a lot of energy to be a really good service industry person.
Right.
To smile and be friendly and get everything right and do it on time.
Right.
It takes a lot of mental and emotional energy. And he says that she deserved to be messed with, which makes me super angry. I just don't think that anybody deserves to be messed with. No stranger deserves to be messed with.
Well, yeah, she didn't do anything wrong. I mean, maybe you could argue that she asked an unnecessary question, but as you pointed out, that could just as easily be a double check. You want to make sure you got the order right.
Yeah. Like, oh, you meant you want a cold one, right? You know, like, I just want to make sure, you know, especially like in the summer, it's usually the opposite because people will say a latte and I'm like, you want a hot latte or a cold latte?
Right. He's roasting her for doing a double check. It's ridiculous.
He's roasting her for being thorough.
He's razzing, and sometimes it's fun, but you have to have a little bit of rapport. Like that needs to be your barista.
The joke didn't land. It did worse. It didn't land. It put her in a bad mood. She didn't like it because you know what? The joke implied that she did something stupid and it was condescending.
Yeah, it implied that she was stupid.
It wasn't a razzie. It was a hurtful joke.
Yeah.
That's what it turned into.
Yes.
It might have been intended as a razz.
It seems like it was a razz.
She just wanted to take your order and move on.
AKA Thirder writes, I haven't worked at a pizza place in 22 years, but I still have to consciously stop myself from answering the phone without the pizzeria greeting. See, these things get stuck in people's heads, you know, so cut them some slack. By the way, if I call my friend and they're like, thank you for calling Tony's Pizza, I'm ordering pizza. Huh?
Yeah, and you better bring it to me or we're not friends anymore.
I answer the phone like I'm at a real business still. Like I go, Lucas Connolly speaking.
I never got that treatment, but of course I don't.
Do you call him on the phone?
No, when we call, he's like, I'm sorry. That's the first thing he says.
Gemini Love CA writes, you have no idea the number of stupid requests the person behind the counter may have gotten in the past. So yeah, they may have asked just to clarify.
That sounds ridiculous, but there's a very real chance that somebody even like earlier in the day had asked for an iced latte and then been like, wait, this is cold.
Let me get a mocha chai, a frappuccino, 2 sugars, light syrup. Can you do a little dance, do a spin? Because I like that's the stereotype of every Starbucks order.
Right. And then they're like, where's the ice?
No ice? I ordered it hot. So why is there no ice?
Nobody knows how to order coffee. And it's not just people's fault. It's honestly coffee's fault. You go to one coffee shop and order a cortado and go to another coffee shop and order a cortado and they're going to be completely different drinks. And if you ask the baristas at each of them how to make a cortado, they're going to be like, oh, this is the right way. There might be a rule book somewhere that says what everything's supposed to be, but nobody adheres to it. So it's just way better to double check and just be clear when somebody, like if somebody orders something and it's not, you don't really know what it is, you just be like, I need to know exactly what you think you're ordering.
Son of a Resi quotes OP who says, I am a smartass by nature. And he says, this quote tells me everything I need to know about how the interaction went down. YTA, being a smartass isn't something to be proud of. Knock it off. I 100% agree. Being a smartass isn't playful or fun or original or unique or risk-taking, dude. What's the classic smartass joke? Ask me if you can go to the bathroom.
Can I go to the bathroom?
I don't know. Can you? That's being a smartass. It's like, okay, you stupid fuck. I got to take a shit. Now I'm going to take a shit on your California king-size bed, and I'm going to rub my diarrhea into your goose down feathers, you stupid fuck.
That went way farther than I thought it was
also
going
had
to.
real details.
I know. That
Seems
sounds like
it's a
that really
crime.
happened to you.
Boxer Blake writes, NTA, you made a simple factual statement, though it may have a bit of tone to it. See, this is the kind of smart ass.
This guy's an asshole too.
I'm ready to kill this guy. This is like this hyper literalist attitude that I see sometimes. I see it on the group. I see it in the subreddit. Like saying some facts is offensive. Like if right now, for instance, I randomly say like, I don't know, Lucas needs to see a dentist. Oh, I'm just advising for Lucas's health. You guys went really quiet and I'm
Well, I mean, because honestly, like I feel like you are close enough to Lucas that if you were worried about his dental health, it would like not be inappropriate for you to say it. No, yeah, like if you're like an actual good friend, it'd be more like be like for me if you like told Lucas that like you were worried about like my heart because it looks like I gained a couple.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Listen, but it's a factual statement.
Dude, I'm really worried about Jenny's heart. AITA for clarifying that an iced coffee is cold. We all agree. You're the asshole. AITA for asking out the cute barista I see every morning after I found out her age. Jenny, could this be about you? By you _barista_. I go to the same cafe most mornings, and for the past week, I've been getting served by the same girl. She was cute and kinda endearing, but her age was definitely on the ambiguous side, and I didn't want to come off as a creep. Well, I went to go get a drink with a very good friend of mine, Ryan, and I was chatting up the same barista, Lindsay. Lindsay mentioned she just graduated a couple weeks ago and is just working here for the summer. So I asked if she was 18 then, and she replied yes. So then I proceeded to offer to take her out to dinner. She sort of giggled and said she had a boyfriend, but she's flattered. As far as rejections go, it was pretty graceful. Well, Ryan later came up to me and said the people in line were making fun of me because I was an old creep hitting on a high schooler. For reference, I'm 29, but I have a full beard and powerlifted in college. People often mistake me to be in my upper 30s, mid 40s. I told him he should have stuck up for me, and he said, nah, man. I was agreeing with them. It was actually pretty embarrassing for me to be in public with you while you were hitting on high schoolers. I maintained that she was well above legal. 16 is the age of consent in my state. What? And she was an adult. People need to mind their own business. He said, quote, well, hit on teenagers on your own time, but don't do it in public with me anymore. I was going to say something back, but I just dropped the subject. I think Ryan's overreacting and is being sensitive to normal human interaction. She's been nice and flirty with me since I started seeing her. So I wanted to shoot my shot. Am I really the asshole for asking her out?
They're not flirting. She's at work, right? From an outside perspective, you're like, oh yeah, they were flirting and she's 18. She can vote. She can date old guys. That's fine. But no, when you're at work and you're in a situation like that, part of providing good service in the service industry is being friendly and smiling. And a lot of those things are the same. If there's a Venn diagram of like good customer service and flirting, there's a lot in the middle. As a human, not just, men, women, all genders, right? You should just assume that the person who you are handing money to over a counter probably doesn't want to sleep with you.
She did say she was flattered.
Lucas, that's a graceful thing for her to say after...
That's what women say because we're afraid of men. The first thing I want to say is that I hate him. Mostly I hate him because he admits upright that she looked like a child. And then even after he finds out...
Yeah,
even
that's
after,
creepy.
Right? Also, like, it's gross. I'm sorry, but also, like, 16 being the legal age of consent, that doesn't mean, like, 16, that means I can bang 16-year-olds in this state. No, it means that at 16, she's allowed to decide if she wants to have sex, period.
I want to talk about what to me is an obvious asshole move, which is...
putting parentheses around that 16 is the age of consent in my state. Like, he has that ready to go.
Yeah.
He looked into it because he was like, oh, that girl at the coffee shop, I don't know how old she is, but let me see how young she can be and I can still dick it,
But am I an asshole if I'm 29 and the girl across the counters, I think, throwing me some signals? I tip her. I see her, twice a week, 3 times a week. I go for it. I shoot my shot. I say, hey, can I get your number, Abigail?
You just shouldn't ask out people who are trapped behind a counter. She can't go anywhere. She has to be nice to you. She even had to reject him nicely. She could have thought he was a creep. She could have been like, aren't you a little old for me? But she's afraid, especially because she's 18. This might be her first job. Like, she's in a really vulnerable position. She doesn't want to get in trouble. She doesn't want to lose her job. She wants to make tips. And then here's this guy who's like, want to date me? Like, first of all, I don't think she has a boyfriend. I think she was lying.
Of course she was. But I want to go. I'm not sold on the fact that it's necessarily bad to hit on someone who's serving you. Is it? Doesn't that make it more fun? Then it's like you're out.
Yeah, for you. That girl's at work. She talks to hundreds of guys
but
a
not
day.
That girl, she's 18. She's a child. I'm talking about like a career bartender. You didn't have any fun when people were hitting on you, gave some spice to your day. Like, it's not creepy.
Sometimes it was fun, but most of the time it was uncomfortable. And sorry, but you don't get to be the judge of whether or not I should be having fun or if I'm uncomfortable. I'm not saying you specifically, even though I pointed at you. I'm saying like this guy, right? Like, he's like, well, she was being fun and flirty, so I wasn't being an asshole.
I'm trying to understand because I can't go around. I want to be able to tell people you don't hit on people who serve you.
Of course.
And I can't defend that right now. So I need you to bring me on board for that. Why is it so bad? Then you say, hey, look, I'm not interested. Why is that such a big deal?
Because you don't know if that's how they're going to react. I have rejected people and they've been like, cool, no problem. And they've respected that.
Right.
But then I've rejected people and they've been really scared. scary. And he knows where she works. I work really close to my home. So most of the people at that coffee shop that I work at, they know where I live. And so I don't want to reject someone in a way that might hurt their feelings. I don't know what kind of people they are. I don't know if they're going to wait for me after the shop closes and it's dark. I don't know if they're going to hurt me. I don't know if they're going to follow me home. It's a scary position to be in.
It's the uncertainty. They don't know that you're a good guy who's going to take the rejection. And that's scary. That's uncomfortable.
And so we have to treat everybody like they're psycho killers, basically.
Yeah. Water Buffalo 750 writes, not the asshole. Apparently, I'm in the minority here. You asked, she said no, and you left it at that. As far as age differences go, as long as everyone is legal and consenting, people need to mind their own business. This is gaslight by proxy. You asked, she said no, and you left it at that. So it still affected her.
Exactly.
Just because he didn't do more, that doesn't make it okay all of a sudden. I see a lot of this in the group. People need to mind their own business. Mind your business. It's not your business. What do people think they're saying? This is other people's business because it's weird to live in a society where a 29-year-old man is chasing an 18-year-old girl. I don't like that.
I don't like it either. I'm definitely not defending it.
Oh, well, mind your business. No, I'm not going to mind my business. It's wrong.
I don't think it's wrong.
I don't think it's wrong either. And I think
you don't think it's wrong for a 29-year-old to hunt 18-year-olds?
Hunt sounds awful. What
to
I'm
be
saying,
on the prowl for 18-year-olds.
but we don't know if he's on the prowl for 18-year-olds.
He's on the prowl.
We know that he had a crush on this girl that he couldn't tell how old she was. That doesn't mean that he's on the. Doesn't mean he was like, oh, I was walking around looking for 18-year-old girls.
He found out she was 18 after not knowing how old she was.
He wanted to make sure that he wouldn't get in trouble for asking her out.
She couldn't have looked younger. She looked so young. She was barely looking 18.
I think this guy's an asshole. I think it's creepy. I agree. However, is it morally wrong for an 18-year-old man to date an 18-year-old girl? Or not 18. Sorry, no. 29 and 18. No, I don't think so. I think that I think age gap love is gross. Sorry, but I don't think it's wrong.
As a person that got sober at 18 years old and had an extremely different 13 through 18 existence where I only hung out with adults and other fellow drug addicts on a regular basis. Like I went to high school, but then I would just go hang out with older people all the time. I would say that my maturity level was a much different level than the people my own age. Like I had so much weird experiences. There's people who are at 12 years old are working 30 hours a week, doing like real job, working really hard, walking their own dogs, taking care of their siblings, taking care of their own children. There's so many variables about age and about like what maturity is. What you're talking about is just like this, like is something that we can't put a rule on because it's like the moment you do, you're like ruining like this ability for someone to actually truly have love.
I see your point. I think I'm not comfortable making a rule about it. I think that it is a case by case basis. Love is love. I say when we add it all together, AITA for asking out the cute barista I see every morning after I found out her age, it was inappropriate on at least 2 levels. And I say that adds up to an asshole.
Yep.
YTA.
Asshole.
It's time for everybody's favorite part of the show, listener submissions. AITA for ignoring my boyfriend after doing it. One of my clients brought me homemade edibles, marijuana edibles, I'm assuming. I went home and shared them with my boyfriend. Then we had like mind-blowing, over the moon, out of this world sex. Amazing sex. Right. So directly following the sex, the brownie hit me full on and I just cannot do life anymore. I am on Mars. I am literally floating. My boyfriend is wanting to be super sweet and loving. He's trying to have a heart-to-heart, real post-sex close to me, but I just can't. I am literally way too high. So in the middle of him telling me something passionate and vulnerable, I interrupted and cut him off by loudly proclaiming, "Yo, I gotta go to sleep." Then I rolled over and went to bed. We laugh about it now, and I mean, I wasn't trying to be an asshole, but I just could not handle it. Am I the asshole?
No.
Yes.
You both took edibles, but I mean, you're a little bit of an asshole for not being like, oh, baby, that edible just hit me. I'm real high. I need to go to sleep.
Yeah, why'd you have to be like, yo, I gotta go to sleep?
That's true. I guess if I interrupted Lucas and was just like, and like rolled over, he'd be like, whoa, weird.
Celine Maria DeVoisin writes, you're not the asshole. We have a code word for these situations. Potato. It means I'm too effing high to cope. It's our weed safe word. I've never heard of that before.
I don't like people who can't handle their drugs.
So
as
annoying.
an ex-drug addict,
Yeah, it's true. It really
I
irritates them.
really, really hate it. If anyone's drunk around me and they're like falling over, they're talking, like they're like wasted, I'm like, I hate that person. If you eat an edible or you take too much weed and you're like, what did I just say? I'm so high. I'm like, I don't blame that on drugs. Drugs are great. You're ruining drugs with your personality.
Says the guy who literally fried his brain with drugs. But at the same time,
I did it well, though, for a very long time.
Yeah, you were really good at doing drugs.
Elaine Hansen writes, you're somewhat the asshole, but it's hard to hold someone accountable for that shit when they're effed up on edibles.
I disagree with that. I think it's entirely possible to hold someone accountable because they chose to do drugs.
Yeah, but they're in bed. Like, they're going to bed anyway.
No.
I don't think she's an asshole. They both took the edible.
Right.
No. Anything you do on drugs, you're 100%
accountable. Yeah.
But what she did wasn't big enough to be an asshole, right?
She interrupted. If I interrupted you, you would consider me an asshole. Like, if it was like a real moment where you were trying to tell me something and I was like, never mind, you would be like, Lucas, that was mean.
No, you're right. That is rude.
You disregarded my energy.
You know what? I'm on Lucas's side now.
Just because you can blame it easily on drugs that you didn't want to actually have an emotional connection with somebody.
He was saying something passionate and vulnerable. So he's like, just so you know, like, whenever I'm with you, I just feel like,
yo, I gotta go sleep.
That's an asshole move. You're
That's
right.
A total asshole.
Pot's not an excuse. Holy crap, dude. I've been thinking about this situation for a while. You just converted me.
You totally converted me too. Also, I like that we just role played that.
AITA for ignoring my boyfriend after doing it. You're the asshole.
Yeah, you're the asshole.
AITA for asking my roommate to replace what she ruined. I am a college student living with other college students in a student living apartment complex near campus. That is the most college freaking sentence I've ever read.
It is, yeah.
I was randomly assigned roomies when I moved in December. There are 4 of us, and we have repeatedly had problems with one of our roomies. She's consistently dirty, disrespectful of others' property, and obnoxiously loud at 2 a.m. When things pop up, we typically say something polite, and she usually apologizes profusely, but she never changes. We share all of our dishes and kitchen things, and as an example, she repeatedly will leave other people's dishes dirty and crusty. I don't think it's too much to ask that you be respectful about cleaning and taking care of another person's dishes when you use them. Today, I opened our cabinet to find my pampered chef micro cooker completely ruined. This is a small plastic pot that you can put in your microwave and is my favorite thing for cooking soups, beans, etc. It looks like she tried to put it on the stove because the bottom is completely bubbled and melted. My assumption is that she got drunk, as she often does, and tried to use it to cook something on the stove, and then just freaked out and put it back in the cabinet. One of my roommates has been out of town, and I straight up asked my other roommate if she knew what happened to it, and she looked as shocked and disappointed as I was. So basically, I know it was her. I'm sure it was an accident, and it's only a $20 item, but this feels like the last straw for me. AITA if I ask her to buy me a new one or pay me back so I can buy a new one? My lease ends in July, and I won't have to see her again after that.
This roommate certainly sounds like an asshole. I'm not necessarily, of course, I don't think the submitter would be an asshole for asking the roommate to replace it. I do think that she needs to actually find out what happened to it first.
Is she an asshole for just jumping in and being like, hey, that was $20. Can you please give me that? Without asking first, hey, did you,
Yeah, she needs to give her the benefit of the doubt. Like, just because she's like a shithead roommate doesn't mean that because honestly, like, it's funny. She's like, oh, I know it wasn't the other roommate because she looked as shocked and disappointed as I was. And I'm like, you know how easy it is to feign shock and disappointment?
Ashton Weinberger writes, despite all the other negatives you listed, I think the main offense here is she accidentally broke something and didn't tell you. Yeah, but submitter doesn't know that
Yeah, she allegedly broke something of yours and didn't tell you.
Kevin Hendricks writes, you are for sure allowed to ask this person to replace your thing. From there, it's up to them to be gracious about it and for you to devote only $20 of your headspace worrying about whether this crumb bum makes it right. I think this person shouldn't ask for the money if they can avoid it.
Yeah, also, if it was only $20, just buy a new one and just tell all of your roommates, like, hey, so I don't know what happened, but my Pampered Chef thingy got all burned. So, like, it's fine. I replaced it. But just so you guys know, it can't go on the stoves.
Right.
You know, like, just grow up.
Is this just being passive aggressive? What I was going to say is what I think submitter should do is once she knows that this person is guilty of what she thinks, that she should kind of be like, hey, like generally, you know, when you break someone's thing, you got to replace it and not demand it and not ask it directly and let her figure it out.
So you're one of those people. You're one of those people that thinks that you should teach them versus actually giving people consequences.
I think sometimes that works.
That's way more condescending. Like, sorry, so usually when you break something, you're supposed to replace it. Like, I hate that. You shouldn't do that. I think with roommates specifically, you need to be direct. And I don't think that you owe them any kid gloves. I think that with roommates, you need to set boundaries and you need to be direct. I think passive aggressiveness is like what kills relationships between roommates. The only way to make everybody happy is just to be upfront about what you need and what your boundaries are. And that girl either needs to buy herself a new one and start over, or she needs to ask the roommate if she did it. And if she fesses up, then say, cool, it was $20. I'd like you to buy me another one. Or she should just buy a new one and then tell everybody not to touch it or not to put it on the stove.
I think Jenny has it right. The move here is to be direct. And I think a lot of people would read the title of this and think, AITA for asking my roommate to replace what she ruined. No, that's basic human decency. It is. And anyone would really come to know this. But I think the thing, and I'm noticing this on the subreddit and in general, is that a lot of people in our culture don't understand assertive or direct with aggressive. And asking her to just pay for it is assertive. And there's nothing aggressive about it. I mean, once she knows that she's stolen it.
Yeah, passive aggression is the death of roommate relationships, and being direct and upfront and letting your roommates know what you expect and how, especially if they're not being respectful of your belongings and your personal space or your whatever it is that you need.
AITA for asking my roommate to replace what she ruined. I'm saying no assholes here. I'm not sold that the roomie necessarily is lying or anything like that. I don't think that's a fair assumption.
Right. I agree. I don't think anyone's an asshole here.
AITA for not checking the tickets ahead of time. 10 days ago, I got an email from CNN alerting me that I won free tickets to today's Nats vs. Cubs game here in DC for 1:35 p.m. When we got out of the subway, we said we'd get a meal at a nearby place, not the stadium, to keep healthy. We walked into a restaurant and it was empty. The streets were also completely barren. Rex, my boyfriend, then said, "Why is it so low energy?" I said, "Maybe it's different for the Sunday games?" The waitress said to us, "Wait, you guys are here for the game? You know it's at 7. ESPN moved it to prime time." AITA for not checking the tickets ahead of time.
The boyfriend was mad at her?
I think Rex is the person who felt put out because now they're there. So Rico Pagliuca supports that. He says, "Not the asshole since 1, free tickets, 2, you're early, not late, and 3, no explanation of who we is or why the person would be especially put out. So look, you and your boyfriend went to the thing and that's it."
Oh, you and your boyfriend went and had lunch and then you had like 4 hours to kill before you went and saw a free game? That sounds like a great day. I think you're an asshole for asking.
It's like, we had to go to Barnes & Noble.
Nate Sinclair supports that apparently this is a thing that happens occasionally. You know, they change when the games are. The sports games, they change the times.
And I mean, let's say, for instance, this happened to me and Lucas. I would have done the same thing. I would have been like, "Hey, I got an email that we got free tickets for a game. It's at 1:35. And then I would make sure we got there at 1:35. And then if we got there and they were like, "Game was moved to 7, Lucas would probably be irritated. But I just don't think we would be in a real fight about it. I just don't think I would ever even wonder, like, "Oh, was I the asshole?" I think I would just be like, "Yeah, of course Lucas is mad because now we're here 5 hours early for no reason when we could have been in bed in the air conditioning watching Netflix or whatever," you know, like.
I guess the question that I think is more interesting is, could we come up with a different situation where a lack of preparation can really ruin this? Because this is sort of a lack of preparation. I mean, to me, I think the girlfriend is way in the clear because it's like, who the F changes the game times? But like this lack of preparation thing, this actually happened to me and you, Lucas. When we went to Fayetteville, North Carolina, Lucas put in the GPS, Fayetteville, New York, which is 4 hours away. Fayetteville, North Carolina is 8 hours away. So we get in the car and I go, "What's the address?" I put it in the GPS and then it says, We're arriving there at 8:30. Well, the show starts at 8. We just got in the car and we're already a half hour late. So we have to floor it the whole time. Lucas is like a dictator on us the whole time, telling the person to drive faster. We were allowed to get off once at a gas station, and Lucas is like, just pick a sandwich. Just pick a sandwich. I had to get roast beef and mustard, and I loved it because I didn't eat all day because we were racing in the car the whole time. Honestly, it was an honest mistake, so I really wasn't mad at you. I say NTA on that. I think it's hard to hold people responsible for like.
I mean, that's
situations.
the thing. It's like if it happens to everybody, right? Everybody will have a thing where they mess up, where they thought they were thorough, and then it turns out they weren't, and that's annoying. It becomes a problem when it's habitual, when people are constantly careless, and that's when it becomes a problem because then it is affecting everyone around them. So.
And now I'm neurotic about it.
So now you check that you're going to book your comedy gig in the right state.
Oh my goodness. I check multiple things. Like I'm like,
you actually check the address?
I will check time. I will like check the time. I'll be like, yep, that's 6 hours. That sounds right.
Right.
You can also like zoom out and like make sure it's in the right state.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how Lucas is acting like this is diligence. Like when I buy a plane ticket, you're not going to believe this.
I make sure it's going to the right airport.
I make sure they're using a plane. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I'm thorough. Jeffrey Olson writes, NTA opposite. You had 5 hours and 25 more minutes to tailgate. So that's fun. So I think we all agree here, not the asshole. AITA for calling my hubby selfish for controlling the TV. On the weekends, my husband and I like to binge watch TV shows. The problem is he loves science fiction type shows and I love murder mysteries. I said he's selfish for always choosing his type of show because he's retired and has all the free time in the world. I work 60 hours a week. Anyway, I appreciate your opinions. Also, we do have 2 televisions, so maybe I'm just being a brat, but AITA.
You're being a brat. You have 2 TVs. Go watch whatever you want to watch. You guys are married, right?
Why can't he go watch what he wants to watch, Jenny? She's working 60 hours a week.
There's 2 TVs. They can each watch whatever they want to watch.
That's true.
But I say he's the one who has to move. She gets to pick whatever TV she wants. Cody Milford writes, NTA, especially if he's home all day. He's not doing shit.
I'm sure that's not true.
What is he doing? He's doing woodwork in the back. Give it a break. Gotti Johnson writes, you're not the asshole. I have 2 TVs next to each other so I can play video games and she can watch TV. Now this is the visionary we need. I love this. 2 TVs right next to each other. Isn't that great?
What this is about compromise in your relationship and whether or not you know, if you guys want to watch a show together or you want to watch different things, it looks like they already have 2 TVs so they can each watch whatever they want.
But is she right to call him selfish because he never shares with her when they're doing co-watching time?
Well, then it's not co-watching if they're not choosing together what they're watching.
No, he's watching and she's coming into the room.
So it is selfish.
No, it seems like they maybe haven't had the discussion yet.
Yeah, it sounds like they just need to talk to each other.
Yeah. AITA for calling my hubby selfish for controlling the TV. You're the asshole.
I don't think she's an asshole. I just think she needs to talk to them.
No, I think there's no assholes
I think there's no assholes here.
AITA for calling my hubby selfish for controlling TV. Have a conversation. Don't go straight for selfish, but no assholes here.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
All right, guys, we're just going to do a little bit of banter here. Jenny, you work currently as a photographer and a barista. I wanted to ask you, tell us about some photography faux pas.
I really like people. I know it doesn't sound like it
Big start. Big
Holy, there's the hardest butt coming, right? Wow.
No, I do. I really like people. It's why I like doing portrait photography. I like taking pictures of people. I like when people feel beautiful. I like when people's self-esteem goes up. I like all that stuff. So that's why I like doing what I do. However,
oh boy,
photography is a strange industry. I'm still figuring it out. Like I've been doing photography full time for over a year now, but I'm certainly no expert. I'm a self-employed photographer. I don't work for a studio. I work for myself. I have my own studio. I set my own prices. I have my own website. I have my own set of rules about what my packages include. And I think the biggest thing that people get upset with me about in particular is that I don't give raw images away. And a lot of times people will get mad at me about that. Or they'll be like, well, why won't you just give me all the unedited pictures? The unedited pictures look fine.
Well, wait, why not? Why can't I get the raw images, Jenny?
You can from other photographers.
why? I want
There
them
are
from
plenty
you,
of other
Jenny.
photographers who are
I
going to
want them
do it.
from you. But no, I'm actually asking why. Is that because you can charge more when you do more like iterations on their photos?
Digital negatives of a photograph, of a digital photograph, are basically the equivalent to like the sketch before a painting. It's not a finished product. It's not a picture. It's just the information. When you shoot raw format, it's not really a complete picture. The picture looks dull. That's not what I want my work to look like when it's presented to the public. So if I give you a raw photo that doesn't look good and then you post it and you're like, new headshots by Jenny, somebody else sees that and they're like, man, that picture looks bad. They look bad in it. The light looks dull. The next thing that I don't want to have happen is I don't want you to take this raw photo that I took and I don't want you to run it through Facetune and make it look all freaky or bad Photoshop. Everybody thinks they can Photoshop now and then also put my name on it. I want to be, and sure, it's a controlling thing. Maybe I am a control freak.
You have a brand as a photographer. I think that's a fantastic explanation.
Yeah, I want to make sure that what's being presented as my work is the best that I can give you. And the raw photograph is not that.
That's very clarifying for me. I've definitely gotten angry at photographers before when they won't give me the raw photographs because I like to mess around in Photoshop, okay? I guess my question for you, I understand the branding aspect. I get it. You don't want people to think Jenny.
Because every photograph that I take is my intellectual property.
Of course.
That raw photograph is mine.
But why not charge more? Why not just say, hey, I'll gladly give you the raw photos. I'll give you the JPEGs. It's just you got to pay double.
It's way more than double to have the raw material for the photograph.
But I know how photos
It's
work.
like a licensing thing. That's like $10,000. That's insane.
Of pictures that you took for them?
Yeah.
But you press the button once. Why? Like, it doesn't matter for you. It's very little additional work for you. So why not charge them for it and offer it?
I just told you. Was my reason not good enough for you?
There's an equation here.
Because to me, it's not worth it. You give me a bunch of money so that you can have crappy looking photos that I took so that you can post them and then maybe I won't make money from all of your friends. Come on.
The damage to your brand is too big of a risk.
Right.
Crystal clear. Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to antagonize you. I loved your answer.
I pushed a button once, man. Jesus.
What?
That was not.
I think you used extreme judgmental language with Jenny to try to get the reaction you wanted, and by saying something like you just pushed your finger down, it comes off as the most condescending thing that you probably could say to.
The reason that made me so mad, like what Lucas was saying, is that photography, and you know this, which is why it's strange that you would say that, is that it's way more than just pushing a button. DSLR photography in particular, it's or SLR photography is like actually using a real camera and having to understand how this piece of machinery works. Most photographers have spent at least a good amount of time and money learning how to properly use their equipment so that they can take good photographs. There's so much more that goes into it. Plus the hours and hours and hours spent in front of a computer in a dark room, like going through them and picking the best one, and the care and the time that I spend one-on-one with you, like getting to know you and trying to find like the most, not just the most flattering angles of you, but I'm trying to like figure out who you are so that it can come through in a photograph. Like the amount of care that I put in to my sessions with people, like saying just pushed a button is so offensive to me. And that's why I got mad. So I'm sorry I blew up, but.
Well, I'm sorry I said the button thing. I know that there's more to photography. I was just antagonizing you to get a more interesting answer. And thank you for giving it. I think that's a great point. And I think, look, it's a lot of people are disrespectful to their barista and their servers. But look, no matter what you're doing, it could be your doctor, it could be your photographer, it could be anyone. Like, you have to show respect to people in their professions.
Yeah.
Except pharmacists. What do you do? Really? You know what I mean? You just count pills? Come on, whatever.
Well, it's not that easy. There's the round pills and there's the square pills. I mean, it's a whole thing. It's a little game called I'm the Asshole. We got a lot of great responses on the Facebook group. This is just people listing situations where they already know they're the asshole. Andrew Mayer writes, I don't eat Kit Kats one at a time. I bite into the whole thing at once.
I do too, Andrew. Power to you.
I think it's wrong. I think it's the devil's way to eat a Kit Kat.
Have you done it? Because it's awesome.
I've done it, and it makes me feel like I'm wrong.
This one is my I'm the Asshole. I wrote, I used to do this bit with friends where I would just run away. The first time I did it, it worked because I was just going to see the people and just just a short while. Basically, my friend made a joke at my expense, then I literally ran away. It was funny and talked about for a good stretch of time. One time, I decided to redo the bit, except it was 4 people, only one of whom I knew well, in an Uber. We pulled up to a stop sign 20 minutes from our destination, and I just got out. I'm no longer in touch or friends with any of those people.
It just seems like a bit that failed.
That
but
totally failed. I admire your commitment, though.
Me too. I don't think
feel
you're an
good about
asshole.
that part.
Yeah, I don't.
You say not the asshole?
You're not an asshole.
Not an
it's
asshole.
just you bombed, and it's
You
hilarious.
totally bombed.
Lauren McKenzie writes, I used to host bar bingo, and 2 of my rules were, quote, don't be a dick, end quote, and if you call bingo and don't actually have bingo, you have to buy me a shot. Last week, I got fired from my bar bingo job because patrons bought me too many shots, and I broke my own rule and turned into a dick and started referring to the patrons as fucks. Then my friend that manages the bar texted me to tell me I needed to cool it because people were complaining about me on Facebook. My phone died at the bar, so I couldn't call my boyfriend or an Uber. So logically, I hoofed it in the cold 3 miles to my best friend's, recently ex-husband's house, rang his doorbell until he let me in. I cried on the floor into his basset hound's ears while he called my boyfriend to pick me up. I'm an asshole, and I'm really sad I lost my bar bingo hosting job.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lauren. Yeah, that sucks.
Lauren McKenzie also wrote, I was bored. That's her. I'm the asshole.
Oh, she feels so bad.
She's
Lauren,
great.
it's okay.
Sarah Carter writes, here we go. I don't ever save the number of the guys I'm talking to.
Me either. Check. Move on.
Wait, haven't you been with Lucas for 3?
Yeah.
Justin Alexio writes, a rich guy in a Porsche convertible stole my parking spot that I was already reversing into. I got out of my car and confronted him in a dismissive manner. He said, it was close, but better luck next time, kid. I couldn't calm myself down, so I walked to the gas station, bought a red Gatorade, and poured it all up in his car. Made me feel good for years, but now I feel bad I did it.
Don't
LOL.
feel bad, Justin. That guy sucks.
Brianna Siak writes, one time I was driving on the highway and this guy was walking on the right, giving everyone a thumbs up. I thought it was cool, so I rolled down my window, gave him a shout, and then gave him a thumbs up back. After a while, I realized that he wasn't giving a thumbs up. He was hitchhiking and needed a ride. That sucks.
You're just hilarious. You're not an asshole
You're
anyway,
so
though.
funny. You're so funny.
This is another one of mine. I got in a fight with my college GF about people always wasting food. I used as an example edamame. Look at all that edamame. It's on every table at this restaurant. People barely eat it. So then to prove something, I'm not sure what, I ate some edamame on a random table. I didn't know how edamame worked, and it was just a shell that had already been in someone's mouth. I ate it.
You're not an asshole for that, but you are a little dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Elisa Collins writes, I was hanging out with my sisters and I was talking shit about my daughter's stepmom, saying how I hope she would just get into a car accident so I didn't have to deal with her anymore. Not because she's a stepmom, but because she's just an asshole of a human being. My daughter messaged me saying her stepmom got into a car accident. She survived, but was in ICU for a while and needed emergency surgery. She's still on the mend. I spoke it into existence.
You're not an asshole. You're a witch.
Whoa! You're the witch!
Yeah, no, she's totally a witch.
Evan Fields writes, not sure if this is relevant, but my wife gave me some action last night only to be rushed out the door for National Donut Day at the ass crack of dawn. I feel like she is the asshole for using me for donuts. Evan, that's the exact opposite of the point of the thread.
He's an asshole for just telling me about him having sex and eating donuts.
He literally just
like
wanted
the
to brag
idea.
about having sex and eating donuts.
Ugh, Evan. Sophie Lesser writes, I purposely don't invite one of my coworkers to coffee because she takes too long to figure out her order. Because you know what she's ordering? Let me get like a latte, iced but hot and iced. Use extra syrup but no syrup, and also 4 espresso shots, no caffeine but no decaf. Imagine I leave all that silence in.
I was really hoping it was going to go longer.
It's because you were still going and Lucas and I had both tuned you out.
That's fair.
I'm so sorry.
I did that joke. No, I did that joke a lot before and you guys never liked it. Sebastian Pepperstick writes, I work in a bar part-time and I have a terrible habit of rolling my eyes when someone is acting or saying something stupid. I don't even bother trying to hide it anymore. At one point, one of my coworkers said something and my back was to them and he said, I can hear you rolling your eyes at me.
Control your face. face.
Yeah, control your face.
I don't like anyone who says, "Oh, I can't stop it."
Right.
Well,
stop rolling your eyes, you child. Bill Donnelly says, I will call my sons from another part of the house to ask them to pick up the remote that fell off my bed or the couch so that I don't have to get up. To which I replied, are you my girlfriend?
Allison Rodriguez says, my husband and I were getting our taxes done at H&R Block. Yes, I know, that's my first mistake. And the tax lady was straight incompetent. We ended up being there for 2 hours because she kept messing up, inputting info wrong, having to ask for help, etc. I had run fresh out of patience throughout this whole thing, and by the end, I was heated AF. I asked to speak to her manager and complained about the service and yelled as I was leaving, I'll never come back here again. I definitely caused a memorable scene. Well, a couple of days later, I get an email that I won $1,000 contest for filing my taxes, and I had to come in to get my check. We had to go back to H&R Block, and it's one of those jumbo cardboard checks, and the tax lady and I had to take a bunch of smiling, happy pictures together with it. Man, Allison, you are an asshole, but you know why you're an asshole? You're an asshole because you got $1,000 after being a dick. That's just not fair. That's like reverse karma.
All right, guys, that's the show. We'll see you next Monday morning.